Ayman Khan here, 4 seconds out. It's a real pleasure once again to be joined by Don Charles, this time not over abroad in the UK on UK soil. Don, how you doing?
Yeah, indeed. I'm very well, thank you, Ayman. How are you?
Yeah, even better to speak to you in person, Don. Pleasure is all mine. Don, I want to get straight into the conversations around Daniel Dubois, your charge. First of all, the rumours and whispers are Filip Hrgovic is going to be in line for the next fight. What do you know about that situation?
Well, as you just said, rumors and whispers, and you guys always seem to get news first, so that's news to me. I know he's one of the names that we've spoken about in the past after Riyadh, and so to update you on anything like that, again, I'm not at liberty to because I don't know any information. You probably know more than I do.
Just hypothetically, a fight that you'd welcome, though, wouldn't be afraid to throw Daniel in with Hrgovic?
Most definitely. Any heavyweights out there, like I said, I'm not the manager, I'm not the promoter, but I welcome any fight with such characters.
Are the fights out there for Daniel? Is anyone else on the hit list that you look for? Like Wilder, maybe looking for a comeback fight? Are the heavyweights in the mix as well too? Anyone else on the hit list potentially?
Well, it's not a hit list as such. It's just that after the fight in December, you look at demographically who's out there, and like you said, someone like Wilder, yep, we'll welcome that. Joe Joyce just won at the weekend. A fight like that, we welcome that. So there's a few names out there that Daniel, I'll gladly let Daniel face off with them.
Just first of all, on Joyce, former opponent of Daniel Dubois, obviously Daniel didn't get the victory that time around. We all know about that fight. You mentioned obviously welcoming that fight. What do you think of Joyce over the weekend? Cash Holiday was really set up there for a real big comeback kind of statement win, but Joyce didn't quite get it. What did you feel about how Joyce did at the weekend?
Well, it takes two to tango, I always say. You know, people don't realize unless you've been in the ring and fought, it's very hard to fight a guy who was being very, very negative. Yeah. And I'm sure Richard Towers is a good friend of mine, Ali's coach. I'm sure he will echo that my opinion. It's very hard. When the guy came there, he was very negative, yeah? So hence why it took Joyce 10 rounds. He got stopped in the 10th round, right? Okay, so it's very difficult to fight against a guy who's been very negative during the fight. He wasn't really he was throwing the odd right hand, which was connecting, so why not do it more? But without the right hand he was landing, he was doing anything else. He was fighting very negatively, and you're not going to win a boxing match like that.
You also want to see potentially Yoker in with Joyce, right?
Oh, most definitely. That's a match that in the future would be a good return.
A return for Dillian Whyte as well too over in Ireland against Christian Hammer. Not the way that he would have wanted to get the victory either too, with Hammer retiring in the third round, but potential for in the mix with Dubois as well, Dillian Whyte.
Most definitely, all these names. I mean, the heavyweight division at the moment is, worldwide is live. You know, they got all these personnels, all these characters. Yes, most definitely, but one step at a time. Like I said, I work in conjunction with the promoter, who is Frank Warren, and Daniel's self-managed now. So therefore, I have to wait to give me names, definitive names. Then I'll examine them and say, right. It's also about timing. Which fight do you have first, and which fight do you have second? You have to have a plan. So we do have a plan, okay. But I'm not at liberty again to disclose that plan. We do have a plan of where to progress Daniel Dubois.
I want to get your thoughts. Obviously, we had you in the studio for Francis Ngannou and anti-Joshua dispatched of Ngannou in crazy fashion. And a lot of people have changed their heavyweight perspective on Joshua off the back of that, especially with the way that Fury dealt with Ngannou, laboured to the victory against him. But where do you put anti-Joshua in that heavyweight mix now off of the back of his seeming resurgence?
Well, I have to go as far as saying Anthony Joshua is boxing. When I say it's boxing, he is boxing in the sense that he's reignited that interest, yeah, that he brought. It was him that brought the attention where every 100 meters in any area in England, there's a boxing gym opening up. We're presently at a boxing gym, the opening of a boxing gym in Stratford. So it's all because of Anthony Joshua. So he's now reignited that vibe, you know, that interest by such a devastating I've been following boxing for a long time, and that's probably one of the most devastating punches I've witnessed being inflicted on another fighter.
A lot of people are matchmaking him now as well too, and if he's waiting for Fury and Usyk to fight and then fight again for the rematch, there was talk of Hrgovic, but if Hrgovic is tied up with Daniel Dubois potentially, what would you do with Joshua? Would you put him with Whyte, maybe Joe Parker? What would you want to see?
Well, again, there's so many fights out there for him to have, but again, I'm not Anthony Joshua's promoter or trainer, so I'm sure they've got a good, clear, especially Eddie being Eddie, he's got a good, clear plan of what he would do with Anthony next. But he's right there, waiting to see. I'm sure everybody's waiting for the outcome of Usyk and Fury.
As a trainer, when you look at Joshua and his resurgence and his link up with Ben Davidson, do you go as far as what people say? Is he back? Is he back to that old Klitschko, the dominating, the destructive force? And Joshua, is he different under Ben Davidson?
Well, you'll have to say he is different, and he's back to the mentality. It's all about he's always had the physicality. He's always had the ability to be able to do what he did against Ngannou. But he's a human being. His confidence was knocked for a long time. And when you got the general public, who are there ready to criticize, and he's only a human being, which would have affected him over the last couple of years. And the way he's now moved himself around, he's tried a few coaches, and it looks like he's found the right coach in the name of Ben Davidson, who's brought the type of boxing that would aid him. Yeah, when I say it's not that he's brought anything necessarily new to Anthony Joshua, it just reminded him, hey, this is who you are, this is who you were. Let's rediscover that old Anthony Joshua. And when you have performances, I know people must say it's against a non-boxer, but that's the same guy who gave Tyson Fury a torrid time when he fought Tyson Fury, And I mean, gosh, it's not just the knockout, it's what led up to the knockout. I'm a coach, so I have to see beyond the knockout. It's not just the knockout, it's the setup. It's the setup. And when Francis initially turned southpaw in the first round, he committed cardinal sin, in my opinion, okay? Because as soon as he went southpaw, I'm sure they had that in plan, that he would at some point turn southpaw. But me personally, I didn't think he'd do it as early as he did, which was silly of them, because Anthony just, as soon as he saw that, pinged him, because he's not a natural southpaw. Pinged him, sat him down. I don't think he actually recovered from that shot. In Ghana. And then the shot that put him away, I've heard he's been making all sorts of excuses recently. No disrespect to the man, okay? He got in that ring to fight. I think he's still suffering from concussion, if you ask me. If he's still making those silly excuses about they kept him waiting too long. No, man, he got in there. The man, that was a devastating. That would knock an elephant out. So. No doubt about the execution of the punch. But like I said, it's what led up to the punch I'm more impressed by.
That Joshua team of him and Ben Davidson and Lee Wiley and others are now very, very confident that if they had the third fight with Alexander Usyk, they come out victorious with this new resurgent AJ. Having game plan for Usyk itself, do you feel that Joshua has the tools now to be favoured in that fight with Usyk if they were to meet again for the third time?
He's always had the tools, like I said. He's got the coach who reminds him that you have the tools to do the job. And it's nothing to do with physical. Joshua's always been very physical. And he just needed a coach who he can, tune into the head. Every human being, we all operate the same way. Together, it might be a coach is using a certain word, then another coach will use say the same word, but using a different way to deliver it. And that's all there is.
People are now saying that if Fury and Joshua were to meet, that Joshua would be the favourite in that fight too, because of how they both dealt with Ngannou.
I wouldn't base it on that. Definitely not. Again, like I said, let's not get carried away. It's early days. I believe Josh, he'll sit it out, see the outcome of Fury, or he may opt to have a fight prior to then fighting the winner of Fury and Usyk. So we just have to wait and see. Now, the great thing that's happening currently is that we don't have to wait forever for these fights to materialize, Okay, with what's happening in Saudi, with His Excellency, Turkey al-Sheikh, that's accelerated everything. So these fights are all happening fast and furious, which there's no better time to be a boxing fan than including myself. I'm a fan as well as I'm a coach. These fights are happening. The fights that would normally take 3, 4, 5 years to materialize, they're happening fast and furious.
A couple of final things from me, Don, I'll let you go. Something that's happening which maybe you won't be too happy with is the return of Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul. We don't know what sort of fight it is, if it's a fight or an exhibition, but seeing a 58-year-old legend coming out, normally a lot of people will say that it's because he needs the money, but he's not quite in the right headspace. Are you worried about Mike Tyson coming to us?
Well, most definitely. When I heard that, again, I thought it was a joke. We have to really be careful, because nothing's happened yet to suggest that all these things, all the YouTubers and ex-boxers who, was a 58-year-old man. Jake Paul is a very young man in his prime, and he trains and he can fight. That kid can fight. Yeah, so I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed to hear that it's actually real, that Mike Tyson, the great Iron Mike, is going to get in the ring. For whatever reason, it's his own personal reasons why he's doing it, but I don't support that. But that's only my opinion.